Gemini Spark coming to macOS is a sign that brand content now has to work inside connected AI apps. What Gemini Spark on macOS changes about where brand content gets used? Connected AI apps turn brand content into working input. Google put Gemini Spark inside the Gemini app on macOS. And that matters because the assistant now lives where the work happens. It's no longer a browser tab you forget about or a phone chat you open once and abandon. It sits beside files and notes already crowding the screen, which changes how content matters. That placement changes what brand content needs to do. A support rep or solo founder can keep moving while the assistant pulls from a help article, a shipping policy, a category page, and a comparison chart in one session. It's no longer waiting for a click, it's being read in the middle of a task, which makes the bar higher. Content for connected AI apps has to work within an answer-building system where the assistant can pull pieces from multiple sources and assemble responses as needed. A headline still matters, and so does the paragraph under it. Every page also has to be simple to reference and trust. E-commerce teams should care because shoppers already ask layered questions. They want the return window and shipping cutoff in one pass. The assistant may pull product copy and help docs together before the shopper reaches a page. If those pieces disagree, the assistant exposes the mess immediately. Machines are rude in that one very specific way. The old goal still matters. Ranking a page still matters. The newer goal sits beside it and asks more of the writing. Make every page easy for an assistant to cite and trust without turning your brand into a pile of half-facts. Why connected AI apps change the job of content? Connected apps make every page part of a larger answer. A connected AI app is a working environment. It can read from files and linked sources while searching the web in one session, which turns content into something the assistant handles as part of active work instead of a separate destination. That changes the job for every page in the store. The practical effect is straightforward. The assistant may answer from brand pages and internal docs alongside the user's prompt. So, a single page has to stand on its own while also fitting into a larger response. A size guide has to make sense by itself. And a returns page has to work when it's pulled next to a product title and a shopper's complaint about fit. The failure mode is new too. A page can read fine to a human and still get skipped if the assistant cannot extract a clean fact or policy line from it. Thick prose and buried exceptions make the page hard to use, prompting the assistant to move on. That's why content strategy now includes machine readability and source clarity alongside persuasion and conversion. With answer-ready structure built in, the copy still has to sell. And it also has to be easy for a model to parse without guessing what the store means. The editing job changes with that requirement. Lean commerce teams feel this first because they can't afford separate versions for search and support, let alone assistant sessions. One clean page has to do more work. A returns policy written with plain labels and direct terms can serve a shopper, a support rep, and an AI assistant in the same afternoon. A vague policy written to sound brand usually serves nobody well. In our experience, almost every brand has a solid content strategy, but not enough bandwidth to execute it. Blog production depends on one or two people. Publishing is inconsistent. And high-intent search opportunities sit uncaptured for months. The strategy is rarely the gap. Execution is. This is where connected AI apps change the content calendar too. Pages can't be planned only around rankings or campaigns anymore. They need to be built so a desktop assistant can pull a line and trust it before moving on. What content needs to look like when an assistant may quote it? Assistants quote content that states one clear fact at a time. Content that assistants can quote well starts with one idea per paragraph. Direct language helps. And clear labels help more. If a page says material, fit, care, and returns in plain view, the assistant can pull the right detail without scanning decorative copy for the fact. Vague brand language gets in the way here. Built for all-day comfort sounds nice to a human. But a shopper asking whether a jacket is windproof needs details on the materials and lining. Plus, how it performs in real use. Assistants do better with explicit statements such as fabric content, dimensions, compatibility, care instructions, returns, and exclusions. Specific claims are easier to reuse safely. Page structure matters just as much as wording. Short intros set context. Descriptive subheads break the page into usable parts. Concise body copy keeps each section focused. When facts need comparison, use a table or bullets so the assistant can lift the differences cleanly instead of reconstructing them from a paragraph. Use a short opening that states what the page sells. Break specs into labeled blocks. Put exceptions in the same section as the rule. Keep comparison points in a table or bullet list. Write every key sentence so it still makes sense out of context. That matters for citation inside an assistant session, because quoted text often appears alone, without the surrounding page context. A line like, "The jacket uses recycled nylon shell fabric and is cut for a relaxed fit," still works when quoted on its own. A line like, "Made for your next adventure," does nothing useful once it's lifted. A jacket page that separates fabric, fit, use case, and care into distinct blocks gives the assistant clean material to work with: shell fabric, insulated lining. Regular fit for layering, stormy commutes and light rain, machine wash cold, hang dry. If the same page buries those facts in one glossy paragraph, the assistant has to guess which detail matters, and bad answers follow. The goal is plain. Give the assistant sentences it can quote, compare, and trust without editing your meaning on the way out. The pages that matter most in a connected workflow. Connected workflows depend on consistent buying path pages, once it can move across a store's site. The pages that matter most are the ones it can connect in a real buying path. Product pages still matter, but they work best alongside category pages, help center articles, shipping and returns pages, and buying guides that answer the next question a shopper is likely to ask. Category pages get overlooked because teams treat them like traffic funnels. In a connected AI session, they often do the heavy lifting first, since they give the assistant the comparison frame it needs before it ever reaches a specific item. A category for trail running shoes, for example, tells the system which models are waterproof, which are built for wide feet, and which sit in a lower price band. That context saves the assistant from guessing. Support content builds trust. Return rules, warranty terms, sizing guidance, and material explanations often clear the last objection before a purchase, especially when a shopper is comparing two similar products and wants to know which one fits their body, budget, or routine. If your help center says one dress runs small and the size chart says true to size, the assistant has a problem and may hesitate or quote the wrong version. Internal consistency matters across every page that can be read together. The same spec needs the same number. The same policy needs the same wording, and the same product name needs the same label everywhere. When one page describes a jacket shell as recycled nylon and another as recycled polyamide, the assistant can mix versions or hedge when the shopper needs a straight answer. Editorial still has a job, but only when it ties back to a buying decision or shopper question. A guide on choosing a coffee grinder helps when it points readers toward grind settings and burr type, as well as the products that match those needs. A brand essay with no path to a product choice is just nice reading. Connected apps reward content that can be used and quoted. How to structure brand pages so they survive search, summaries, and assistant sessions. Answer first structure helps pages survive every reading environment. The cleanest page structure starts with the answer, then adds support and context or proof. That order works for shoppers skimming on a phone, and for systems trying to pull a clean snippet into a connected session. If the first sentence says what the item is, who it fits, or what problem it solves, everything that follows has a real anchor. Use subheads that sound like shopper questions. Fit and ingredients should match the way people actually decide whether to buy. A page for a winter coat that breaks out warmth and waterproofing gives the assistant clear sections to quote from instead of forcing it to dig through marketing copy. Tables and bullet points help because they separate facts from filler. A size chart, a materials table, or a simple block that defines machine washable gives both humans and connected AI systems a fast read. On the page, when information is laid out plainly, the assistant can pull the right detail without reading the rest of the paragraph. Explicit entity naming matters more than most teams think. Use the product name, model, material, size, or category term consistently so the assistant can connect related details across pages and sessions. If one page says merino crew and another says crewneck sweater in merino wool, you have made the system do extra translation work for no reason. Buried facts cause trouble. A key detail tucked into a long paragraph or hidden behind a decorative accordion label like more info becomes harder to reuse in search results and assisted summaries. Put the size note where it can be seen fast, along with the compatibility limit and care instruction. A shopper looking for a running vest with a 500 milliliter flask pocket should not need to hunt for it. There's a simple test for structure. If a person can scan the page and answer the next question in 10 seconds, the page is in good shape for a connected workflow. If they have to hunt, the assistant will hunt too, and it will often stop early. What to fix first if your content already exists? Fix conflicting facts before creating more content. Start with an audit focused on answerability. Look for pages where the main fact is hard to find, where policy language conflicts, or where product details are spread across too many places for one session to make sense of them. The goal is to find the pages that a shopper and an assistant would read together and make sure they tell the same story. In the audits we run, high-value product pages often reveal problems in nearby category pages and support articles. If the shirt page says runs large, the size guide says true to size, and the returns page uses different language for fit exchanges, the assistant has 3 versions to choose from. Clean that up before you add another blog post or buying guide. Thin copy should move to the front of the line. A page with a vague opening, a generic description, and no clear specs gives the system almost nothing to reuse. Tighten the first paragraph. Add the missing details and make sure the page says exactly what the item is, what it's made of, and who it's for. Add context where shoppers usually ask follow-up questions. Sizing, compatibility, materials, care, and delivery are the usual pressure points. And they belong in plain sight on the pages that sell the most. A sneaker page that only says comfortable fit leaves too much open. A page that says runs narrow. To learn more, visit heysprite.com today.